How do you get stronger ankles for off-road running? How do you taper for a trail race? What's it like running at altitude? Find out in my Q&A series, answering all your trail running questions. Welcome back to my Q&A series. I'm Claire from Wild Ginger Films, the trail running advice and inspiration channel. First, I want to say a big thank you to everybody who commented on last week's Eat Like a Pro film and reliably informed me that drinking pickle juice is a real thing in North American trail and ultra races. Who knew? And I was also told by a couple of people that I pronounced the name of a race wrong, so here goes. Javelina 100. With a javelina being a type of peccary, like a wild boar. You learn something new every day, hey? So also thank you to anyone who shares this channel with their friends too. The more people who we can inspire into trail running, the better. So if you're new here, then make sure you click the subscribe button, and any books or gear that I mention in my videos, you'll find links to in the YouTube film description box below. So just click show more or the drop down arrow for details. So let's answer that first question. Crikey Moss 22 wants to know how not to go over on your ankles when starting off-road running. So that is a great question. I've spoken to a great many top athletes in my time, and the advice from several gnarly British trail runners like Ricky Lightfoot, Rob Jebb, Victoria Wilkinson and Jasmine Paris is particularly helpful here. So they do a combination of looking from their feet to 1 metre, 2 metre, 3 metres to even 10 metres ahead, flicking their eyes up and down as they scan the route ahead, looking for the best line. So the more uneven the ground, the more concentration is needed, and they say that sometimes you just have to sort of relax and go with a slip or slide, just a bit like skiing. So take light, quick steps and start slowly to begin with. Just walk if you need to. So having stronger feet and ankles makes a big difference. So take a look at my quick and easy strength exercises playlist here, which also includes the best ankle strengthening moves. Question number 2, Graham Band wants to know what to do in the last few weeks before a long trail race, as he is doing a half marathon soon. Good luck, Graham. So this is called tapering, and it's when you give your body just enough time to recover before a key race without losing fitness. So I asked sports professor John Brewer about this one, as he has several pages in his book called Final Weeks and Tapering. So the worst thing you can do is pile on the miles in the fortnight before the race, as this risks injury and fatigue. John says in the final 2 to 3 weeks before race day, you should not completely stop running, but just reduce the intensity and volume of your training and prepare yourself mentally for the challenge ahead. Do your final long run no closer than 2 weeks before race day. This is not necessarily your longest run, which should be more like 3 weeks before for your first timers, while 2 weeks before is fine for more experienced runners. Do a few 3 to 5 mile runs at a slow pace and be prepared for a shock, as your legs may feel tired and heavy as a result of the glycogen stores building up in your muscle, which is apparently a good sign and nothing to be concerned about. So he says a few days before, make sure you're well hydrated and check your pee is pale straw colour, and make sure your carb stores are nicely stocked up with a high carb diet. There's no need to overeat, however, and binge on pasta. Just eat until you're satisfied. The combination of the decrease in your training load and the high carb diet will ensure that your glycogen stores are fully charged. So thank you very much, Professor John, for that very useful advice, and good luck, Graham. There's a link to John's book in the YouTube film description below. Question number 3, Danny Buena Bailon asks how to deal with races at altitude, like the CCC at 2,500 metres, if you haven't trained at much more than sea level. Well, Danny, you're in luck, as at the 3,402 metre summit of Pikes Peak last month, I met high altitude mountain running specialist Carl Egloff, who has beaten speed records set by Kilian Jornet, arguably the world's best trail runner, on super high mountains like Kilimanjaro and Aconcagua. So here's Carl's advice for running at altitude.
If you don't have this opportunity to be going often to the mountains or to the altitude, you can do some interval training, just struggling with the oxygen. This is something that is similar on altitude. You can do some stairs with some weight on the back, so you really feel like I cannot make any steps anymore, and this is how people feel in altitude. For a race, I would travel 2 weeks in ahead. Of course, it's always a matter of vacations and holidays and so on, but if you are really willing to make a good time, it's part of it. Sleeping on high altitude is even better than training on altitude. Spending time in altitude is better than just sprinting on altitude. And on the race, it's just you have to listen to your body, so not to race too high the pulse. Take some sugar. Sugar helps a lot, and be drinking all the time. Hydration is of the key of everything.
Thanks, Carl. That's great advice. And find out more about this Swiss Ecuadorian athlete by following him on social media. Question 4. Cosseps wants some top tips on running in the Lake District compared to Chamonix, like navigation, scrambling, and the best time to visit. So the lakes differs wildly from Chamonix, where the UTMB is held, in that just like the rest of the UK, there are so many different footpaths and not many signposts, so you do need to be able to navigate using a map and compass to avoid getting lost. Especially once you get higher up into the mountains, because as we all know, the UK is famous for its inconsistent and often terrible weather. So you can start off in brilliant sunshine and find yourself lost in the mist by the time you get to the top of a mountain. So what I would suggest to people who aren't confident map readers is to go with either a running guide for a nice safe run in the mountains, or if you want to learn how to guide yourself, book a navigation course at the start of your trip. So there are 2 Lake District based providers who I very much recommend, having worked with them a great deal during my years editing Trail Running magazine. They are Charlie Sprozon from Mountain Run. He's the guy who I made this film about run scrambling with earlier this year, and Joe Faulkner from Nav for Adventure. So I'll leave links to their companies in the film description below. And also the best time to go to the UK is probably out of the school holidays in July and August, and avoiding our bank holidays at Easter, end of May, and the last weekend in August. So June and September can be really beautiful times to go, but what I would say is that at all times of the year, be prepared for every single weather condition in one day. Question 5. Jane Whitsend wants to know how to stop sports tops from smelling. So this is really annoying, isn't it? I've got a particular running top which smells the moment I start running in it, because I have to wear it every week to lead my group in the running club that I'm in, the Stamford Striders. And sometimes I roll deodorant on its armpits just before I run. That's how bad it is. So however, you guys came up with some better ideas. So Tobbs recommends Vanish Extra Hygiene at 40 degrees in the washing machine, and Peak District Hillbilly suggested using a bio wash liquid, again on 40 degrees C, which will activate the enzymes in the liquid. You can also look for t-shirts with some level of anti-prong protection, like Polygiene, or the use of natural fibres like coconut, which guard against smells. I have another suggestion, that is to invest in a t-shirt made wholly or partly of merino wool, and this is naturally antibacterial. You can actually wear these for several days without smelling bad. I love them, but there are 2 downsides. One is the price. They can be twice the price of a regular synthetic top. And the other is durability. So unless it's a warm winter thickness weave, which I find too hot for running, a pure merino wool t-shirt is more delicate than one made of man-made fibres. So if you wear a pack, it can wear down more quickly. Fortunately, many brands now make tops with a combination of merino wool and synthetic yarn, which makes them more durable and also stretchier too. So the main brands are Icebreaker and Smartwool, but Montaigne and Rab also make combination tees, and Black Diamond are introducing a range for next year too. So check out the links to my favourites in the film description below. Quick fire questions. So many of you are asking me questions on here. It's absolutely fantastic, and to fit them all in, here are some of the shorter ones which I'll answer as quick as I can. So shoes, first of all, Joe Salis wants to know what I think of the Scott Supertrac RC, while James Frost wants to know how the Innovate Trail Talon 290s perform in damper conditions. So, Joe, I love the Scott Supertrac RCs. They have a wideish toe box, a 5mm drop, which I can just about tolerate, and the grip is amazing with this radial lug pattern. The sole feels supportive enough, with enough cushioning for hard trails, but you can still feel the ground underfoot, and the heel cup is really comfy too. The only major downside is that, exactly like the Salomon Speedcross 4, they give me a massive blister at the arch after an hour. But now I've got my double layer socks from 1000 Mile Socks, I'm going to give them a go again. So James, the Innovate Trail Talon 290s are in no way waterproof, which is why for damp runs I combine them with a pair of waterproof socks. So in regular socks you will get wet feet in these, but the water drains from them very quickly, and along with your socks they dry very quickly on the move if you don't re-wet them. So I've ploughed through huge Lake District bogs in these and then had almost dry feet by the end of the run. This is really great in warmer weather as it makes for a light, cool shoe, but in very cold weather I would combine any non-waterproof shoe like this with a waterproof socks if I was going on a remote long distance run. Joe also wants to know when I'm going to review the Ultra Aspire Momentum Vest. So I'm currently reviewing packs live on YouTube at 1 PM every Tuesday UK time, and this one is definitely on the list, so you'll have to keep watching to find out. Join me if you can, or catch up with the broadcast later on. Carrie Anderson wants some tips for downhill running. So yes, this is brilliant, as this is what I was asking all the athletes at the Ring of Steel Sky Race last weekend. They had some very interesting tips and training methods, so the film is coming soon, stay tuned. Daz Elliott wants to know if I've done the Bob Graham round, because he's doing it in 2022. So wow, Daz, that is a great long-term goal, and I'm really pleased that you've given yourself a lot of time to prepare for this epic challenge. So for those of you who don't know what the Bob Graham, or the BG, is, it's a classic Lake District fell running challenge of 42 summits over 65 miles with over 8,000 metres of ascent. So to get in the exclusive Bob Graham Club, you have to run it within 24 hours, which top mountain runner Kilian Jornet did when he absolutely annihilated the 36-year-old course record on this route this summer. So Kilian ran it in 12 hours and 52 minutes, whereas I took over twice as long. I did mine in 2013 and I took 26 hours and 36 minutes. So I am not in the Bob Graham Club. But I do have a good excuse. Unlike Kilian's dry, perfect weather conditions, my weather was terrible, strong winds, driving rain, almost got hypothermia, had to do a complete kit change further the way round. You can read my report on my blog, wildgingerfilms.co.uk. There's a direct link to the article in the film description below. So good luck, Daz, and let me know how you get on with your training. Let me know when your attempt is in case I can support you. Finally, Arlene M wants some recommendations for slow, scenic 100k races in the UK. So I put this question out on Twitter, and here are 4 great races for you to consider. First up, the Cumbria Way Ultra, 73 miles across the Lake District with gorgeous scenery and a 27-hour cut-off time. That's generous. Several people also suggested a Race to the Stones, so a lot of people ran this 100k route along the Ridgeway as their first ultra. Fantastic. A few people also recommended The Wall, a 69-mile route along the historic Hadrian's Wall, bound to get some good views there. And the Stour Valley Path 100k also got a few mentions. It's a nice rolling route from Suffolk to Essex. So tell us which one you end up doing, Arlene, and have fun. So news, right, I'm going to add a quick news roundup selection to this Q&A blog because there are so many interesting things happening in our world. So here are this month's highlights. One of my favourite British athletes, Victoria Wilkinson, smashed the 34-year-old Ben Nevis Fell Race ladies course record at the beginning of the month, and then she came second in the Ring of Steel Sky Race last weekend. So see my post-race interview with Vic here. The next day at the Glencoe Skyline, new mum and current British fell running champion Jasmine Paris came second to American Hillary Girardi with a thrilling sprint finish with only 7 seconds between them. And hilariously, they crossed the finish line at the same time as a man dressed in a giant bee costume. So this was Team Salomon's manager Greg Volley, who was poking fun at team member Kilian Jornet, who quit the UTMB last month after a bad reaction to a bee sting. So talking of the UTMB, Britain's Sophie Power has made the national newspapers and the TV after race photos showed her breastfeeding her young son at aid stations, expressing milk for her husband to feed to him while she competed this 108-mile mountain race. So she says that this shows that mothers don't have to stop going for their goals, whether it's running or not. So big up to mum of 2 Sophie, she's a massive inspiration. Not long after the UTMB, our double Bob Graham and double Ramsey round record holder Nikki Spinks won the women's race at the Ultra Tour de Monte Rosa, a race organised by super UTMB and long distance running champion Lizzie Hawker. So Nikki also came an amazing 7th overall with 37 hours 11 minutes. So well done, Nikki. Whoa, it's windy here today. And finally, let's hear it for Harry Jones from YouTube channel Harry Runs, originally from Wales. He's now an elite runner living in Thailand and racing in Asia. So he came 7th at the Eiger Trail 100k Ultra and 8th in the CCC this summer. So congratulations to Harry as well. This week's random thing that I saw which was cool is something that was pointed out to me by Jason Howen, who asked what shorts the lady who came 3rd in the UTMB last month was wearing. So I Run Far were quick to come back on Twitter with the details. They are the Kiwami Equilibrium trail running short with a patented Easy Fix pole carrying system, which enables you to easily post your poles into your pockets down the outside of your thighs when you're not using them. These shorts look incredible, and like, who would not want a pair of these? It's question time, and last week I asked you what is your next race goal, and you guys are quite simply on fire at the moment, training for so many exciting races. Look at all these! This is awesome running, everyone. Keep up the great training and keep those questions coming in as you prepare for your next race or challenge. So my question for you this week is, what is your most beloved item of kit and why? Type your answers in the YouTube comments below and I'll read out the best one in the next Q&A. If you've got any more trail running questions for my fortnightly Q&A films, then also type them below. Subscribe if you haven't already and click the notifications bell so you don't miss out on any new trail running videos. Thanks for watching, enjoy your next run, and I will see you out there on the trails.